let's just allow them to edit it. We were worried that people would come in and just start erasing stuff, but we've made it so that only the submitter could edit it. So, yeah, that was actually a pretty complicated thing that the team and Hiro were able to figure out. So the next thing would be the bookshelf. It's just straightforward. Some of the books that you could be reading, and then you could change the current book you're reading. I'm reading This Is New York if you want to scroll down. It's really right there. Oh, actually, keep going. Right there. This Is New York, right here. Yeah, it's a really good book. I'm reading that to my daughter, actually. It's a kid's book. And it actually has a typo in it. So you view the typo. Do you all report typos? You know that? So in the beginning, there's like a foreword between, I think, somebody that worked with this author, and they spelled children's without the apostrophe. And it's in all the versions of this book, because This is New York, this is Edinburgh, this is London, and this is Paris. And I reached out to them and said, hey, you got this typo that's in all your series, the whole series. And I haven't checked yet to see if they fixed it. So yeah, this stirred up some people here. Again, there's the teacher. Okay, all right. So the next thing is we'll just step you through a few more typos. So let's just go through. There's a couple more errors I wanted to show you in addition to this. And we could just one at a time show them. So, for example, we showed you a couple blogs. Christine, actually, we'll show that one. There's a few typos in Grammar Girl's book. And Christine shared with me last night that she talked to her about it, and she was cool with it, and I can confirm that she's going to get it fixed. But she was kind enough to submit that to us. A couple of other notable errors. There's one with a school we were working with in Seattle, where a student submitted a typo, or what he thought was a typo, in a textbook. And again, this ties back to the social learning aspect. Understandably, he's, I think, trying to call out a factual error here, and then one of our users comes in and says, oh, hey, kid, by the way, here's why it's not. Yes, sir.
I hope this isn't too much of a digression, but I'm struck by the fact I heard yesterday people from a particular newspaper, this happens to be a student-run general circulation paper,
Yes.
talk about this kind of feedback.
Yes.
They do it on all their articles. They're primarily an online publication.
Yes.
And they invite their own readers to submit typos to the paper for correction, which is mostly online.
Great.
All of us could do that.
Right.
Who work for mass circulation publications of one sort and another. We have a certain community that's there. I'm struck as I heard you tell a history of typos, excuse me, with the consumer orientation and the student orientation you have. And there's a certain consumer pushback about textbooks because of cost and unnecessary additions that outmode previous ones that help to sustain ridiculously high costs.
That's right.
Have you considered organizing through student groups? This is another issue of quality and cost, the lack of correction of typos.
Yep.
And it seems to me that there might be a constituency for it.
Yes, we have considered it. It is something we talked about. We did some research into the textbook industry and some of the systemic issues we're seeing, again, because that was what inspired us to do this. And we're finding that what's driving a lot of these publishers is that they make money only on the first sale of that book. So that's why they keep printing it. So I don't know how much we can, if they're going to do that, and we're not telling ourselves that they're going to change that business model, we're going to try to help them at least improve the quality on these editions.
And maybe part of the audience, part of the people who should hear about it are the professors who are requiring these textbooks to point out the volume of errors in a particular publisher's work.
That's
that
right.
raises a question about the adequacy of the material they're insisting their students buy.
Yes, and that's certainly on the roadmap for us, is to align ourselves with educational institutions. We've reached out to a few professors who maintain their own errata pages and say, oh yeah, here's a book I wrote, please tell me about this. And I've reached out to actually, and one of the country's most renowned C++ authors he was talking to us a bit, and he likes tracking those sorts of things, and he found what we were doing quite intriguing, and gave us some suggestions, and had some higher level thinking about it, and yet put a sort of computer science spin to it, which we could all understand, within our group. But yeah, that is on the roadmap for us to align ourselves with educational institutions. It's just that, again, us doing this part-time, we're on our own dime, it is just something we just have yet to get to.
Well, I'm appreciative of the kind of work you're doing. Everybody needs an editor. You're finding a lot more editors for the work that needs to be done.
That's right.
And we might behave a little selfishly through that, but that's more humor than anything else.
Right.
We applaud what you're doing. The more people in general are conscious of these issues, the better it is for the likes of us. So
Yeah.
we've got a natural alliance here.
Yeah, that's great. And that's the sense we've gotten when we attended last year, and we continue to get it. And in your comments, you referred to that. Thank you.
I would think that you guys would also be a service for authors.
Sure.
As leverage, like, they say, hey, I know you guys want to publish my publishing house, I know you want to publish my book, but you guys have a ton of errors.
Yeah.
If you want me to go with you, clean up your act, or they could pick out the publishing house that's better than.
Yeah,
It seems like that could be.
Yeah, and that's certainly what we're trying to do. We've reached out to a few authors. Again, one of our only confirmations of record. I mean, now that we could say Grammar Girl could fix these, but I think independently she went off and told her, not necessarily referenced it off our site. But again, those the great typo co-authors, we talked to them on Twitter. They like what we're doing. They said our mission is exalted like theirs and all that. And we maintain good communications with them, and they like what we're doing, and they were happy that we found the typo, or at least one of our users found typos in their book. And they said, yeah, this is great. This will be fixed in the next edition. Thank you. And our user was so proud. Like, she's probably now going to buy 2 copies then. So that's part of the sell that Hiro's going to talk into.
You guys banding together with the great typo, tell people to redefine the word typo?
Yeah, we haven't.
I imagine people have pointed that out, that you're misusing the word.
Oh, perhaps, yeah. I don't know. No one actually has pointed that out. So.
I mean, TEH when you mean the is a typo, but most of these things you're showing are just mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of use that word liberally only because it's
It echoes the name, right?
Yeah, and maybe we are redefining it indirectly. So, but thanks for pointing that out. So, if you just toggle back, and I mentioned this a little bit so far, already, but just to reiterate, we've contacted publishers. What we do is we write them this nice email, very non-aggressive, and just say, hey, by the way, I'm sending you an email because you have some typos reported in your book. Here's a link to it. Check it out, and let me know what you think. And going forward, would you be interested in this information, essentially? And very limited responses. I don't know if we're just reaching the right people, because the publishing industry for books is just so, there's this huge conglomerates, and maybe we're just simply sending the emails to the wrong places and just contacting the imprints and things, and they don't know where to flow that up to. They read it like, oh, I know what this is, and just ignore it. So we're still trying to figure out, maybe just talking to you folks, understand who we should be contacting and how we get that done. Because again, that's our number one goal. We want to reward our community. We want to give back and say, yes, what you did is great. We're going to get it fixed here. So those are our challenges. Is just finding who to write, who to contact. But again,
Isn't the biggest challenge that they just don't want to publish a new edition?
that's probably true too. Yeah, some do. I mean, I'm still going back on some of our feedback that, yeah, hey, great. Yeah, we want to know about this. And again, some of it might be, yeah, thanks for the information, but I'm not going to tell you anything, and I'm just going to make these fixes to please my author because they don't want them in there or for whatever reason. And I'm still trying to understand the motivation behind it because, yeah, they could say, if we don't fix it, we still sell the same amount of books.
I mean, the percentage of books that are in multiple editions has to be really, really small.
Yeah.
But with Kindle, it
Right.
would seem you'd always be able to affect everything that goes out from then on.
That's true. And that's a business we're still trying to understand. We actually applied for an API or application programming interface kit could start exploring